Welcome back to the FanSpeak Network, and here we are. It's that time. We've played a whole season. There's only one game left. Super Bowl 59 on the card. Now, usually, guys, we only do sides and totals on this show, and we leave the props for Thursday. But since we only got one game, I know you guys got some props dialed up for me as well. Jayme, let's start with you. How you doing today, bud?
Good, man. Doing great. I can't complain. Super Bowl week. Excited, man. The home stretch is here, and then we have about like a 4 or 5 month wait, but that's all right. Got some best ball stuff that'll be on the channel that we can all hop in and get down on some. So I'm excited, man. How's it going?
Oh man, I'll tell you more about it when we're done. But if
Uh-oh.
those who don't know, the reason I cut back on all my NBA content right now, I'm in the middle of a move and buying and selling a home, so it's been exhausting. But fortunately, I only have one game to handicap here, and I have two excellent gentlemen to do it with. Tyler, how you feeling today?
I'm good. I mean, I thought Jayme was going to touch on it, but we had big news in the other league over the weekend, the big Lakers trade. I mean, talk about the biggest trade we've seen in a while. Probably the biggest trade I've ever seen. So,
I mean, it really is. And I hate recency bias. Like when people leave Dr. J out of their top 10 and don't consider Joe Montana in the top quarterbacks. But this really is the biggest trade ever. I mean,
yeah, like nobody's seen this coming. I was sitting there playing Xbox that night. I got the notification, and I basically said, "This can't be real." I said that right to my buddy. I was like, "He has to be hacked," and I think everyone else said the same exact thing.
Everybody did.
Came out.
Yeah,
there was no word of it anyway.
No, 100%. I woke up. I was laying in bed. Woke up to the Undertaker gif, straight up staring at my phone, just kept saying, "Oh my god." Oh my God. My wife thought someone was dead. And so thankfully that was not the case. But
yes, someone is dead, the Mavericks fan base.
That's true.
Can you imagine trying to sell season tickets for that team right now?
Yeah, it's my buddy. My buddy, his wife, they just got married and their parents had like season tickets. And he said that she was crying all day. Just bawling all day, man. It's devastation over there. I get it from the Luka perspective, but I still think they're going to have some all right seasons. I get it though. I can empathize with them for sure, man. It's got to be rough right now.
Yeah. So, well, I guess we won't really touch on that lately. I mean, I talked about it on the Wagering World today. If anyone wants to hear my thoughts about it, but they pretty much echo what most people think.
Just one little thing I'll say on that before we get into football.
Yeah.
The question for you, Spread. Doesn't it feel like the Mavericks odds moved a little bit too far?
What? I didn't see it. No,
in the opposite direction.
They're 35-1 to win it all now. They're tied with just let me pull up the odds.
See, that's why the whole thing is weird. I mean, if this was only a one season on 2K, it would be an even deal. If we're only looking at one season. And I even think 20-1. He fits in better in Dallas than he did in LA.
Yeah. I think it's a nice fit in Dallas.
This year and next year, it's going to work great. It's just, what are you going to do 6 years from now when you're down there with the Sacramento Kings fighting for the play-in and Luka's still dropping 30 and 10 in LA? So,
yeah, I think that's Dallas is actually 41-1 to win it all. Mind you, they probably win it all.
Put a ticket in right now. They're the second best team in the West right now.
They're 17-1 to win the West.
They're not the second best team. I
think the second best team in the West. Los Angeles.
I'm not saying Los Angeles.
140 points a night.
And they're going to score 155. So that's the delta between that to plus 10. So we'll take it. But I just think AD fits well there. But what I think people might be missing is how's Kyrie. Kyrie in his history has never been good by being the main guy holding onto the ball, making the decisions, being a shot creator, being a creator for other players. He hasn't. The only two teams he's ever had success on had LeBron James and Luka, who are two very similar players. So I'm just not so sure that we're going to see the same Kyrie have the same impact to winning like he did with Dallas and like he did with Cleveland with LeBron. I do agree, though, that stylistically this is a much better matchup for AD. He's going to probably have a ton of success, and they are going to be good defensively. Offensively, I'm just not sure how good it is. I mean, as far as the Lakers go, as of right now, I agree with how that team is constructed currently. They're definitely not they're going to struggle for sure because, like you said, they're going to give so many points. But if they do a trade and they don't need to make a big splash. If they get a Claxton, right, or a Capella, or a Robert Williams, or a Pirtle, right, just one of these guys that are good rim protectors that can play in the short corner dunker position that Luka just dominates with the lobs. I think that this team is going to be much better than people think. And I know people talk about the fit of LeBron and him.
That'll be fine. We talked about the fit between Luka and Kyrie, and they made the Western Conference. I mean, they made the finals.
Yeah,
100%. They're two of the highest IQ players.
Offense. Yeah.
100%.
The question is going to be defense, and you got a good point. I mean, you got Claxton or Adams. So, anyways, we'll have to do a separate NBA show. I mean, honestly, if I didn't have like inspectors here, like for those who watch, like my wagering world today was from a Starbucks parking lot because my home was being inspected and I couldn't be in it. For the morning 4 hours. So yeah, I mean it's been a tough time for me to do some NBA content, but I'm dialed in on the NFL. I only had one game to handicap, and I can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts on it. Tyler, Kansas City's taking a little money, or Philadelphia's taking a little money since the last time that we talked. Money line down to -113 offshore for the Chiefs. I think it was up to minus. I can't even remember what I bought it at. I shouldn't have played it when I did. I think I put -120 or something in there. Anyways, let's just start your basic thoughts for the game. Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, Kansas City Chiefs, Philadelphia Eagles.
I think it's going to be very similar to last year's Super Bowl where neither team can really pull away from each other. And it's going to come down to the last few possessions. Saquon's going to be able to run the ball. It's going to be tough to stop him. But they're going to dial up blitzes, and I think that's where Hurts is going to have his problems. On the other side of the ball, I think Kansas City is just going to try and beat the secondary with Patrick Mahomes and just let him air it out. I think he can do it. I'm going to be on the Chiefs. I just can't fade Mahomes. Like, the only time I've ever faded him in this spot was against Tampa Bay, and that was when his entire offensive line was hurt. His offensive line's pretty healthy here. I know they moved Tooney over. It's hurt the run game, but they're still able to throw the ball very well. You just got to trust Mahomes in this spot. So that's where I'm sticking to it. I'm sticking with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, I really wanted to come in and give an in-depth breakdown, but hopefully Jayme can, because I really don't have much. I'm just going to keep betting on the Chiefs in the playoffs until they lose. I mean, I wish I could do better. Jayme, can you help me out here and give some people some actual empirical reasons to bet the Chiefs? Or are you going the other way? I know you have a Philadelphia Eagles ticket. Are you hedging? How are you approaching this game?
Yeah, I'm not hedging, but I'm also not laying any more on Philly. For me, it's like I got a plus 1,100 Eagles money line ticket here, so I'm gonna let that ride. But I don't feel super great about it, and it's weird because I think the Eagles have the much better overall team. I mean, I don't even think it's super close, to be honest. I think obviously
close.
I don't think so. If the Eagles would have played the Bills, I would have put a lot of money on this Eagles team. But I just think the Eagles are really good, man. Defensively, they're much better than KC. They have
I don't
better
know about that.
They are.
They're slightly better. I wouldn't say much better.
They're much better. Where has KC shown that they are significantly better or even close to the Eagles on the defensive side of the ball?
Game all year. They look like the 2001 Patriots. Let's pull up some game logs here and see how many points they've actually given up.
Playing against Broncos.
I'm kind of on the same page with Jayme here. Like Philly's probably you could tick off every box except for quarterback, head coach, and defense coordinator.
Coordinator. Thank you. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Philly probably has everything else, but you could have probably did that last year too, and Kansas City won.
100%. And this is exactly why I'm not adding any more to my already future ticket that I had with the Eagles, because the three most important positions are probably quarterback, head coach, and defensive coordinator. And that is all on the side of the Kansas City Chiefs. And the reality is, if this game gets close at the end of the game, fading Mahomes is not going to feel fun at all, right? If this is a close game, a tie game, 3-point game, whatever it is with 5 minutes left, and you have Jalen Hurts and you have to go against Patrick Mahomes, it's not going to feel pretty. It's just simply not going to. So for me, I'm going to stay away from that. One side that I am potentially looking at, though, is taking the Eagles first half. I can see the Eagles be leading in the first half. I also just think that this game is going to play out pretty close, right? These are both teams that like to control the clock, specifically the second half. So like a second half under, I think could be a good look. These teams both love to run the rock in the second half, but defensively, I just do not know how the Chiefs are going to stop Saquon Barkley. Their defense the last several weeks, including the playoffs, has been terrible. I mean, James Cook at a 6.5 yards per carry, 4.9 yards per carry to Mixon, 5.7 yards per carry to Najee Harris, 6.5 yards per carry to Jaylen Warren. What do you think Saquon Barkley is going to do, right? Like, if the Bills –
I'll tell you the two ways they stop him.
Yeah.
One, the Chiefs' dark magic comes in, and his calf that was getting worked on in the Washington game all of a sudden flares up, and Kenny Gainwell's the guy in the backfield.
Yep.
Or they get the ball. If Chiefs get the ball first, Mahomes scores. Hurts turns it over, or they go 3 and out. They score again. And now you're looking at it, it's like, well, we could still kind of run the ball. Maybe you get 3 on that drive, and then Mahomes chews 8 minutes off the clock and scores again.
Yeah,
that's how they do it.
You're right. I just think early on the Eagles are going to have some success. I'm even sitting here talking, I kind of like the Eagles first half. And this just gets you away to just take the first half with the Eagles, which I feel like they kind of win at a decent clip, to be honest with you. And it kind of gets you away from that nightmare situation of with 5 minutes left in the game, it's a 3-score game or just a 1-score game, or not 3-score, sorry, 3-point game. And you have to fade Mahomes. I just think that's the biggest worry, and that's kind of where we're at here, right? It's like, for me, I think the Eagles are the better team, but Mahomes is just so insanely good. Andy Reid is just so insanely good that I couldn't fault anyone for going with the Chiefs. I don't feel super confident with the ticket. That's why I'm not adding any more. I thought about hedging. That's just not very fun. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's just, I'm gonna ride it out. I've been on the Eagles. Muted.
You don't want to just enjoy the game, make money either way?
No, I want some. I mean, I do have props, but like the props I got down, I can't get down near as much as like what I have at stake here for this. And it's gonna be fun to have like a little bit of rooting interest in the side. Maybe if it's something where I can I don't know. Maybe I could do something right where if the Eagles get up in the first half, maybe the Eagles are up by 7 points or something like that, and maybe I can try to get a nice little middle by taking in KC, like live betting during the second half or something like that, and maybe get a middle. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'm rolling with it. I think Philly is just the better team overall. They would be the side I would take, but I kind of like the Philly first half quite a bit, to be honest. So,
all right, I just want to continue my argument here because we come on here to argue.
Oh yeah.
I think statistics prove my point. I think the Eagles are slightly better on defense. The Eagles average 17.8 points per game in 2024. Chiefs average 19.2. 17 to 19, like if you were doing team totals, that's essentially the same, right? So
right, but that's
slightly
not
better.
But that's not how better. But that's not how models work, right?
Let me continue.
You have to adjust the strength of schedule and things like that. You can't just be like, okay, this team averages.
How do you think Philadelphia has a tougher strength of schedule?
Well, I'm saying that the Chiefs haven't.
The Chiefs have a tougher strength of schedule.
Not offensively. Who they play? They played Carolina,
Buffalo, Cincinnati,
Baltimore
Atlanta,
in week 1.
I mean,
Cincinnati.
Good offenses.
Cincinnati dropped 25. And you're thinking they played Atlanta, the Chargers, the Saints, the 49ers when they were banged up, the Raiders, they put up 20, Tampa Bay put up 24, Denver, Buffalo, who put up 30 and they lost, Carolina put up 27, Las Vegas put up 17, the Chargers 17, Cleveland, Houston, Pittsburgh, and Denver. And then you go into Buffalo just put up 29 on them again. They played Buffalo twice, and Buffalo put up 29 and 30. What do you think this Eagles team is going to do?
Buffalo's one of the best offenses in the league.
And so are the Eagles. Not quarterback, but Eagles have one of the best skill position-wise. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley.
But Josh Allen is 10 times better than Jalen Hurts.
Okay, and Saquon Barkley's 10 times better than James Cook. A.J. Brown is 10 times, 100 times better than Keon Coleman or Khalil Shakur or whatever. Whoever you want to throw in there as their number one weapon, right? And so is Devontae Smith. So that's what I'm saying is I think that this Eagles team is much, much better than the Chiefs team.
Continue on slightly better.
Okay.
Chiefs, first down win rate. They did it 350 times. Eagles, 360. Slightly better. Third down percentage. This is third downs converted against. The Eagles allowed 41%. The Chiefs allowed 48%. Okay, that one you could say that's pretty significant. But then we go to fourth down, and it's exactly the same, 70.6 to 70.4. So it is actually on fourth down, the Chiefs were 0.2% better. But my point, I mean, we're really splitting hairs here, but I just think the Chiefs defense is being undervalued here.
I don't think they're a terrible defense. Based off of EPA
like
per play,
defense.
EPA per play of the season, they ranked 15th. The Eagles ranked 3rd. They are not a top 5 defense. Steve Spagnuolo is a great defensive coordinator, and there's a good chance that he's going to make this team play better than they are. And I think the key moments, he's going to be able to design some stuff up and disguise it to where, just like we saw against Josh Allen at the end of the game. But as far as skill position goes, come on, man, it's that Eagles defensive line is crazy good, man, and their secondary has gotten so good.
I would say
Mitchell,
Chris Jones is better than on the Eagles defensive line, so they have the best player.
I mean, Jalen Carter's pretty good.
Carter's pretty good. I think Chris Jones is just a little better.
I mean, maybe Chris Jones is great, but there's 11 players that play on defense, so one player, right? Like, is he that much better than Jalen Carter, and then everybody else is
slightly, just like I said earlier, slightly comes up a lot here.
Yeah, not slightly. I disagree pretty heavily with that.
And again, defensive lines are pretty neutral. They're not. There's not much separation there.
The secondary is.
The secondary is. I think Philly's deeper in the secondary.
For sure.
I mean, yeah,
but
I'll give you Mitchell and John.
I think McDuffie's probably the best corner on the field.
Yeah, maybe.
You can give it to a rookie.
And the way they call it, the offense has such an advantage there. Okay, cool. Well, I mean, we're really splitting hairs there, but with only one game to break down.
Yeah, you got to.
What else can we do there? So okay. Other angles you're looking at for this game, like Tyler, I know, fairly simple, like turnovers, keys to the game. But what are your keys to the game? And they don't have to be the obvious one. Maybe something that people aren't thinking of.
Keys to the game. I mean, it's going to be playing keep away for either team, basically. Like if Philly gets the lead, it's going to be you just run Saquon, tire out that defense, and just keep Mahomes on the sideline. And then on the other side of the ball, if the Chiefs can get the lead, it's basically going to be just dink and dunk that defense, 5 yards a pop, get the first downs, have 12 to 15 play drives, and just chew clock to where you can't even use Saquon all like that. I think that that's pretty much the main key of the game is who can play takeaway. And if it's a close game, it's just going to be who has the ball last and who can score last. And that sounds like a Chiefs spot to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you think it's going to be a close game, that's another huge edge for the Chiefs. Jayme, what other
turnovers? If the turnovers do happen, which side do you think they're more likely to come from? Because I think they're more likely to come from them blitzing Hurts and him making mistakes.
I mean, who knows? Mahomes has been kind of YOLO all year, though. This is one of his worst TD interceptions.
He hasn't thrown a pick since
not in the playoffs. 10. Yeah, and it's playoff Mahomes, man. That's a whole different ball game. As far as me go, I'm curious to see what the Chiefs defense is going to do though, because they have played man coverage at a pretty high rate all year, and I documented this in week one, or not week one. Sorry, I mean technically week one as well, but first round of the playoffs against the Packers, the Packers play zone at a high rate, and Jalen Hurts, if you look at his splits versus man versus zone, he's been much worse against zone. So I wouldn't be surprised if Steve Spagnuolo does switch things up a little bit, and if he does play a little bit more zone compared to the man that they played all year, I think that could play problems for Hurts. I agree that I think the turnovers are more likely to come, for Hurts. I just don't think the edge at quarterback is pretty massive. That's genuinely the only reason why I'm not heavy on the Eagles. It's just Mahomes versus Hurts. But if someone tells me right now that Hurts has 0 turnovers in this game, I'm going to feel honestly pretty confident with the Eagles. I just think if he's not able to turn the ball over, they're going to be able to move the football. Saquon Barkley's going to have success. He's going to run. The injury I don't think is near as big of a deal, especially now for 2 weeks. I think he's going to be pretty healthy.
He looked pretty. He looked way better against Washington than he did against
He
Los
did.
Angeles.
100% he did, right?
Yeah.
And so now it's like an extra 2 weeks off of that. I don't think that's going to be a big concern. I think he's going to put his body on the line. I think he's going to run a ton. I think Mahomes is going to run a ton. And we'll talk about some props later. I already saw Spread has some Mahomes Russian love too, which you just can't hate because he does it. He does it every Super Bowl, every playoffs. Mahomes just turns into like a little mini Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, right? So I'm excited for this one to play out, though. Right when it happened, I was pretty disappointed. It's the Chiefs again, but I love football so much, and these are honestly two really good teams. So I'm excited to see it play out. But I just think the Eagles are just a better overall team, and you just gotta hope that Mahomes doesn't get the ball with 3 minutes left in the game, and it's a one-score game because we all know what's going to happen here. I'm also interested to see some of the officials. Right, we kind of said this against Buffalo, how we kind of thought they would allow them to play a little bit more, and the officials wouldn't come into play near as much. But there's just so much talk about it, right? Like I feel honestly kind of bad for Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce during these interviews. I don't know if you guys have been seeing, but like you have reporters just asking these stupid questions, right? Like just about the officials and do you have a favorite ref and all these type of things. So like it's getting like, and Roger Goodell got asked about it, right? Like I could just see like, Roger Goodell talking to the officials like, hey, we really need a clean game here. Like we don't want a big play to come down and ends up being something where the ref has to make this decision and goes the Chiefs' way. And we have to hear about this for, another 4 or 5 months. So I'm interested. I think there's a lot of different elements to look at in this game, man.
The one thing I keep thinking about, we keep hitting this point, Philly's the better team, like skill position wise and all this other stuff. I feel like that could kind of backfire on them here. And I know it's going to sound crazy the way it's worded, but yeah, they have the best two receivers on the field, but they have nothing behind them. We know where the ball's going if they throw it. Yeah, you have the best running back. No one else is taking carries out of that backfield. Maybe Hurts takes a few. Once Kansas City's on offense, you don't know where the ball's going. They will find that mismatch. They don't care if it's Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster, DeAndre Hopkins, or Marquise Brown, or even Kelsey or Noah Gray. They will find the mismatch, and that guy will get pelted with the ball. Like I honestly think that that they're better. It's just going to funnel and make the defense easier for KC almost.
Well, they have 3 weapons. I mean, Dallas Goedert has played really, really well. In the playoffs, he's been really. So I do think he's going to be. That middle of the field. Also, I saw something too. I honestly, I think it was maybe Warren Sharp that posted it earlier, but it was about the Eagles in 11 personnel and how they played that like the highest rate and how vulnerable the Chiefs defense has been, and also specifically against the run. I think they rank in 27th in yards per carry allowed against 11 personnel. So I think that's going to be another interesting element here for the Eagles. I don't know, man. It's again, I could very well just be biased and blind because as the team that I thought in the offseason was the best team in the NFC, and now they're here, and the Chiefs, I just kind of thought, and we kind of talked about it all year, right? We did about how the Chiefs probably are a little overrated, right? They weren't as good as their record suggests.
You talked about that. I didn't say that all year.
You did later. I will give you credit. You stood strong for most of the year. I think there was a time later on in like the last few weeks of the season where you kind of maybe changed it up a little bit. But let's go look at the tape. Let's roll up the tape. Let's roll the tape.
That's a lie. You're a lie. I can't remember myself saying that.
You might. I know for sure that you have been more solid on the Chiefs almost all year. And then now it's coming down to the playoffs or the Super Bowl, and we're like, all right, well, you have one game, and it's Patrick Mahomes on the other side of the ball and Andy Reid on the sideline. And I agree. It feels like that. And I'm just trying to look at this from a team versus team perspective and not just so much. And I know you have to value Mahomes into this conversation. And then again, that's why I'm, maybe taking the weak way out by just saying I'm going to take the Eagles first half, and I'll let the game play out how it plays out and just hope the Eagles. I just think Mahomes has generally struggled in the Super Bowl early, right? We've seen this before. Like, didn't the last time these guys played in the Super Bowl, it was the same thing. The Eagles were leading in the game, and then Chiefs and them came back late. I just think this Eagles team is built to get off to a hot start, and I think
they
the
were
Chiefs
bad in the first quarter this year.
They definitely were,
Their
but
first
recently in the
scoring was
playoffs,
really bad. Their second half scoring was really good.
100%.
They flipped that about halfway through the year.
Yes, the second half of the season, and specifically in the playoffs, they've really got off to the hard start. I mean, they did against the Rams, got against the Commanders. I mean, they did against the Packers, but that was just a whole bunch of randomness, anyways, right? But I don't know. It's tough, man. It would be cool to see the Chiefs have a three-peat. I mean, it's historical stuff. Also, being a guy who is from Kansas, I just don't. I don't quite want that, to be honest, but I do think it would be cool. And I love Mahomes, man. I'm not like a hater of Mahomes. Like I respect the greatness of Mahomes. I think he's the greatest quarterback to ever play. So add another notch to his belt, I think would be pretty cool too for him. But like I said, I still think the Eagles are the better team, and that's the team I want to roll with.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the way they changed these rules, quarterback is just so overpowered.
It is.
It's almost like 50%. It's like 52 guys or 50% of the game, and then one guy's the other 50%.
Yeah.
So, while I agree, even though we agree about the magnitudes of how much better, I do agree the Eagles have a better roster, and congratulations to their GM for getting it done because, I mean, they're paying guys too. It's not like it's just the Chiefs with all that salary. It's not like they're doing it on a rookie contract for their quarterback. They've just nailed draft picks. They've taken advantage of free agency, and they develop really well. So you got to give their coaching staff credit. I always say, some of these teams that quote unquote draft well, maybe they just teach well, and they can get an athlete and make them a football player. I think that's Tyler's guy, but we're not going to get into that argument today. What else are you looking into that game in this game, Tyler?
They have, when you go to the rushing props on FanDuel, it has total Kansas City rushing yards. 114.5. I will gladly take the under on that. I don't think they're Kansas City's total rushing yards, 114.5. Do we think they're rushing for 115 yards as a team here? I don't. I think if they beat them, it's through the air. Like Mahomes throws for 300, throws for multiple TDs. That's how they win the game. So I would take the under on that rushing yards. The other one I was looking at, total number of players for the Eagles to record a rushing attempt. Under 3.5. Saquon's taken 90% of them. Hurts is going to take about 8%. And maybe Gainwell gets a carry. Will Shipley's not touching the ball in this game. They don't really run end arounds for the receivers. I don't think Goddard's going to get some weird carry, do we?
No.
He's the only guy that worries me.
That's a good look.
He'd be the only one that worries me. But I like that under 3.5.
All right. Well, Tyler will also have the prop party on Thursday to continue with some Super Bowl props. But Jayme, you and I will be in the chat for that one. We will not be on the show. So what do you have for us props-wise going into this game?
Yeah, I got a few good ones. So I took Harrison Butker over 1.5 field goals made. I think, again, Chiefs a conservative football team. I think that the Eagles are really strong in the red zone. I can see the Chiefs struggling in the red zone when they get down there. So I really like that one at over 1.5. I also took Mahomes under 36.5 pass attempts. I just don't think I think that we're going to see a slower pace game. I think both teams like to run the ball specifically in the second half. In the second half, both of these teams run on early downs at an extremely high rate. So I like that one. And then I did take a fun one of Oren Burks, most tackles plus assists at plus 300. Former Packer. But he's been involved in all of these, man. Like, I think, what was it, in the last round, he had like 9 tackles, I believe it was. Led that game against the Commanders. He's just involved in all of these things. And I think also it helps with the way the Chiefs play if they're going to run the ball a little bit more. I think it's kind of correlated to that. So those are like 3 of my favorite ones right now. I'm still kind of digging in to some options. I kind of, part of me wants to take some DeAndre Hopkins just because it's at 11.5. And like 11.5 yards, I think the touchdown was like plus 600. To me, it just feels like one of those situations, right, where it's they signed him in the regular season. Ever since Hollywood Browns came back, he's just really struggled. They haven't really gotten the ball near as much. I could just see him catching one big one for a touchdown for 20-some yards. Like 11.5 just feels pretty easy, and I know that he hasn't gotten there the last several weeks. But in the big game, I could just see Hopkins getting involved a little bit more here. So I kind of like a sprinkle of that touchdown at plus 600, and I kind of like the over 11.5. So receiving yards.
All right. Do you have any other props for us?
Me?
Was that a question?
No.
Was that a question for me or Jayme?
No, because you get all yours on Thursday. So I appreciate you gave a couple out already, but I figured that people can get the rest of them. I don't want to completely step on the prop party's toes. But since Jayme and I aren't on, we got to give ours out now.
Right.
I have two. And Jayme mentioned one earlier. It's just the Mahomes over rushing yards. Would have made him a quote unquote dual threat quarterback because he's pretty good on the ground. But the Chiefs know, hey, this guy gets hurt. Season's over, right? Taylor Swift ain't coming to the games no more. So they save him for the playoffs. But in the playoffs, he definitely is not afraid to use his wheels. And he's not on Josh Allen's level, but those 3rd and 5s, those 3rd and 6s become so dangerous because even if you play perfect coverage, he's just going to tuck and find the sideline. And the second one, Jayme, was to a point that you made earlier, and I'm going with Dallas Goedert. He's gone over his total in all 3 postseason games. And we talked about some of the weaknesses in that Chiefs defense, and probably because they are playing man, right? So you get a tight end against the linebacker. They haven't been good against the tight ends this year. Dalton Schultz, who's I don't think is as good as Goddard, and Hurts, CJ, whatever. I mean, right now Hurts is playing better than CJ. They were able to connect for 70 yards against the Chiefs in a game that wasn't really that close. I expect this game to be closer. I expect Goddard to get used more often. So the 2 props I'd like to give out are Mahomes over rushing yards, Goddard over receiving yards. All right, there we have it, guys. Fun show today. Tyler, I'm going to go to you. Anything else we need to talk about here? Did I forget anything? How are we doing hosting wise? How are we feeling about Super Bowl 59?
I'm feeling good. It just sucks it's the last game. I mean, the season flew by. It felt like we only did
wasn't this the fastest one ever?
Yeah, this is the fastest NFL season ever, but I think we're getting a good game to end. And the more I
remember when they were talking about best ball playoffs, I'm like, already?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
We're already.
But just one more thing. Do we bet the Chiefs money line or do we just lock in Mahomes MVP at plus money?
Yeah, I find it pretty difficult for the Chiefs to win, and Mahomes doesn't. Unless it's a lower scoring game and we get a pick six, Drew Tranquill or something, or Nick Bolton,
or Kelsey 2 TDs over 100 yards.
Yeah, and then Mahomes only throws 2 TDs. Mahomes throws to like 220 yards.
Producers, I'm gonna propose
if he put up that Houston stat line, where I believe he only threw for like $180 and 2 touchdowns, and Kelsey had the 2 and had 113. I bet you Mahomes still wins the MVP.
Really?
You think?
I think Kelsey's live just with the Taylor Swift and potential retirement, and
I don't think so. I think that they want to put this dude so far ahead of the other guys. Like they got to catch him up fast to Brady. A 3 MVPs in a row. Like, this is his.
I agree. I think it's Mahomes. If it's not Mahomes, I think it's a defensive player, right? I think it's like a game that ends up being like a 17-14 type of game, and you get a pick six, maybe a forced fumble by Nick Bolton or Chris Jones, a couple sacks and a fumble recovery for a touchdown, right? Like I think that's kind of the way Mahomes doesn't win it. So yeah, I don't hate that angle at all. And I gotta say to my guy Clyde in the chat, so the Chiefs are in Missouri, all right? They're not actually in Kansas. I know people mistake that a lot, but they're actually in Missouri.
I remember when I found that out, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah, but I can thank my old man. I can thank my pops for making us making us Packer fans and not Chiefs fans. Although it would be nice the last 7 years to be a Chiefs fan too.
Yeah, it really didn't go wrong either way. You
can't go wrong either way. Yeah,
good franchises. Yeah,
100%. But yeah, I'm excited for this one. Like you said, it's going to be a fun game. 2 good games. I hope it's close. I hope it's competitive, which I think it will be throughout the whole game here. So I like it.
If it is, that's another reason I like Kansas City. Jayme, they've won 17 straight 1-score games.
I know, and
NFL record.
The thing I hate though is my analytical mind tells myself that this that is not sustainable generally within maybe not this
But
year
my
or the next
gambler
year.
mind says you bet on a streak, you don't bet against it.
I know, and the key factor here
Their
is that it's
due is
Patrick Mahomes.
Is the worst.
It's definitely not. It's definitely not due because that's gambler's fallacy. So
that's the word I'm looking for. Fallacy.
Yes, that is definitely, they're definitely not due, but generally they do regress back to the mean, right?
Yeah.
From year to year.
I'm just riding the streak, and I think that this isn't luck, and I think this comes in with turnover too. When you hear those podcasts and they go, well, we're going to adjust the final scores, and they essentially take out turnovers. They go, turnovers aren't always luck. I mean, you watch the games and you see who's aggressive, like Pittsburgh, punching the ball every single time, right? You see who's not, right? You see who's aggressive in jumping routes, going for interceptions because of the style they play, and who's just sitting in man and trying to knock the ball down. So some of this stuff, just assuming that all turnovers are equal and that, it's just luck to win one-score games, and in a one-score game, it's just luck. I don't buy into that. I think there are factors. I think Mahomes is cool as a cucumber. And when the pressure's on, he gets better, not worse. And at this point, he's playing with house money. Even if they lose, you're still going to consider him to be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, right?
No,
I mean, all
100%.
the pressure's on Philadelphia. I know they want to win, but I mean, this is legacy defining for Philadelphia and for Kansas City. It's just, get him next year.
No, I mean, you're 100% right. And that's the key, right? With this one-score game, with generally, I do believe in it's going to regress back. But it's also Patrick Mahomes and
if it was
Andy Reid
teams, I would go with you, right? If we're talking about 2 9-8 teams playing against each other, I would say But there's a reason these guys win. Great coaching, and like you said, arguably the best quarterback to ever play. So
100%, and I agree. No matter what happens, the outcome of this game, in my opinion, and I get if you look at Super Bowls, all that type of stuff, it's still hard to say. I get it. People want to say Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. That's totally fine. I'm not going to really argue against you. You have a right to say that. But for me, I have two working eyeballs, and I'm taking Patrick Mahomes over Tom Brady if I could start a team, and it's not even close in my mind, right? Like, again, if someone else wants Tom Brady, you're totally fine to think that. Mahomes is just he's just such a much better athlete.
What do you want, though? Do you
still want
Mahomes and Reid? Do you want Mahomes and Reid, or do you want Brady and Belichick?
I want Mahomes and Reid. Give me. I want. It's you guys said you really can't go wrong either way. And I would not fault anyone for saying the other thing. I just think Mahomes, like, I don't know. And I don't know. It's just recency bias because we're literally watching this every year. Now it's been a few years since we've seen Tom, and Tom is obviously great, but it's like Mahomes. He throw the ball further. He's a much better runner. There's attributes there and he's a great leader too. I don't know. Maybe I'm off, and maybe you guys tell me if I'm off. But I'm just taking Mahomes.
It's a fair argument. I don't think that it's crazy at all.
Yeah.
You want to tell me Josh Allen's the greatest quarterback or Lamar Jackson's the greatest quarterback? We can argue, but this one is really tough to argue.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you can't go wrong either way, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, if someone really was diehard on Tom Brady, I mean, you have a right to think that. I mean, doesn't he have 7 Super Bowls or something? Like,
and it's almost like our argument that we have earlier with the longevity. When we argue the NBA greatest player, because the longevity is what's really unmatched.
100%. So we'll see if Mahomes can do this. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when Kelsey does retire, and it's kind of
it's going to matter.
I don't think it's going to matter either. Especially with how Kelsey has played the last, like they just won this last game, and he had like 11 or 20 yards, or I don't know. Yeah. He had a terrible stat line. He didn't do anything. It's just Mahomes is who he is, man. He's just going to continue to be good. So we'll see.
Before we wrap it up, you guys want to talk Super Bowl odds for next year? I think there's a couple of these outlying numbers that are way wrong.
You give me a chance to talk about Green Bay, I'm in. Super Bowl week.
You did a pretty good job of not talking about Green Bay during the show. I definitely lost the over-under. Did you see last week when I put the over-under the 20 minutes of Packers talk on our Super Bowl?
I know. I was trying so hard not to. I almost brought it up, and I was like, okay, stay away. They don't want to hear about it. But let's hear it, Tyler. Who do you like? I didn't even look at the odds.
Your Packers are 19-1. I feel like they got to make a couple moves.
Is that like fifth best or something, or sixth best?
Seventh.
Seventh best.
But a couple teams I was looking at, Washington's got all the cap space in the world, and they just made the NFC Championship game. They're 22-1. We know they're going to push and try and get a lot of these guys in free agency. They hit a couple draft picks. They could be right back there. Houston had all the injuries in the world last year, and they still made the playoffs. Their defense is going to be elite again. They're 24-1. That feels wrong. And then hanging out down there at 32-1. Harbaugh and the Chargers. We know they're going out and getting receivers. The defense is good. That number is wrong.
Yeah.
Those are some good ones. I like the Houston goal. Is Baltimore probably second next to the Chiefs or something, or third behind maybe Eagles?
Baltimore Chiefs are 6-1. Baltimore 6.5-1.
Oh wow.
I think the prediction.
That's
yeah,
too high
I think
for
I
Baltimore,
think the
they can't be
thinking
the
here.
same as Kansas City.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think the thinking here is Tyreek Hill's probably ending up in Baltimore.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. Is they're just going to overload offense.
This
now.
is the NBA. You can't just force your way out.
Well, Jimmy Butler can't even do that either. So
his contract's almost up, I believe.
He's got another year, though. I'm just saying they're not just going to give him away.
Yeah, I mean, I think they make a move. I really, honestly, in hindsight now, I really wish they would have gone after Devontae Adams. I know Devontae Adams was probably set and playing in New York, but I really think we could potentially be talking about a Baltimore Super Bowl here if they got Devontae Adams instead of Deontay Johnson, right? Like, obviously, would have to give up more, more assets there, but it's like I think he would have been a pretty good fit. And that's another guy. Since you guys gave me the opportunity to talk about Green Bay for a sec. If you tell me if Green Bay can come and get a guy like Devontae, though, I think that is like a perfect fit. And I think they need. I would like a pass rusher in my hypothetical kind of fantasy land world. Give me go trade for Max Crosby or go trade for Myles Garrett. That's just not something typically the Packers do at all. So I don't think that is going to happen. But something more realistic, I think they could go get a Khalil Mack, who I think could be pretty solid for the Packers defense here. But I think the Packers, they're just going to be in the running, I think, every year. They're well coached. They have a good defense, a good defensive coordinator. They have a good quarterback. They have weapons. They have Josh Jacobs. But I do think they definitely need a piece or two, especially because Christian Watson's going to be out for the first 12 weeks of the season. So they're going to need to get some field stretcher. I wouldn't even mind getting a guy like MVS back in, right? Just get some of these guys that left Green Bay, MVS to be the field stretcher, bring in Devontae, let him kind of teach the young bucks a little bit.
While you're at it.
He can watch the balls and hand them to Jordan Love. That'll be the deal with Rodgers. No offense to my guy there, but I think what's the Bengals?
The Bengals are 20-1.
Oh wow, I guess I was kind of expecting a little bit
T.
lower.
Higgins is probably going.
That's true.
If Hendrickson leaves too, that's going to be a huge problem. And just to touch on your Packers again, just looking at it right now, they might be the best team in that division now. We're not sure what Detroit's going to look like. They lost both coordinators.
Yeah. 100%.
Minnesota, the blueprint to beat Darnold is out now. You're not telling me if he's back or
he's not even going to be there.
Yeah, but then you have a rookie quarterback in J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, he might regret. Yeah. That's fair.
We can't put McCarthy in at 1, so it probably is Green Bay right now.
I still think Detroit.
We'll see. Jared Goff in that year that he came there before Ben Johnson was borderline bad, right? Not even average, just borderline bad. And I know they've added more pieces too since that time. But I still think the Lions will be good. I'm not a big Dan Campbell guy as far as X's and O's and in-game management. I think he's a great hoorah, get the guys riled up. I think he was a perfect fit for having Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson there. But what I haven't got to talk about. I haven't been on since this happened. But the Ben Johnson to Chicago, I don't love that as a Packer fan.
That could be scary.
It could. They have weapons.
It's still a cheap organization that doesn't build right and has a terrible GM.
But they have. You could say that. And again, there's not a bigger Bears hater here than me.
Let's go ask Jim Harbaugh about their weapons. An offensive line is a weapon, and they're missing a big weapon right there. They haven't shown the ability to address it. They
I
don't.
agree.
Hey, we're picking number 9, and we got this prize quarterback. Let's get another wide receiver. I mean, this organization is terrible. Let's trade a second for Chase Claypool. I mean, this organization. I want to worry about the Bears.
I know. And if they would have gotten anyone else, I wouldn't have been. But I'm just a big fan of Ben Johnson. I just think the guy's
and
legit.
we say it 1,000 times, and I'm sure we'll say it in our NFC North preview next season, which I hope that you're on with us, Jayme.
100%.
Pretty easy to call plays when you have the best offensive line in the league. I mean, I remember when I played Madden, I would just trade for all offensive linemen, and all my plays worked. If you block perfectly, it's pretty easy to call plays.
No, you're right. And one little last transition before we get off to, I'm curious, what do you guys think about Cooper Kupp? Where's any predictions of where we think he's going to go?
It doesn't matter.
I mean, I think so. I think it
slightly helps the team, but I mean,
I think for the right team. To Pittsburgh, you think?
No.
No, I mean, I hope not, but I can see us doing it. We need a wide receiver.
You do.
I can see us getting the vet.
That's a good point there, right? Like on Philadelphia, he doesn't do much. On Pittsburgh, he would do a lot. So I guess the landing spot, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think on the right spot. I mean, even Baltimore, right? Like, I don't know.
This is a team that
I think it could help.
Impact. Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be a guy, right, from like a fantasy perspective that's going to pan out as they dominate, right? Like, but on the right team, I think if you give him 4 or 5 targets, and he still showed he can make plays.
I love him in Baltimore. You put him in the slot, put Bateman and Flowers on the outside, have Likely and Andrews on the inside. And that's a nice setup.
See, I'm with you there. And like as a Packers fan, I don't want him. I don't think he fits well in Green Bay. But like a place like Baltimore, I think it's a really good fit, man. I mean, he's a much better version of Deontay Johnson. And it's going to obviously cost more than what you got for Deontay Johnson. But over the middle of the field slot guy,
it's probably a second or third. What did the Raiders get for Devontae? A second?
Did I say Devontae? Because I thought I said Deontay Johnson.
No, but I'm just saying, if Devontae Adams only goes for a second, how are they not the same, right? They're guys that dominated the league 2 or 3 years ago that are still good, but you only got 1 or 2 years left.
I think Kupp has kind of fallen off a little bit, whereas Devontae was still like playing at a pretty high level before he got traded, right? And so I definitely think, and plus the injuries, and Kupp's a little older too. He has been hurt quite a bit, so I think the value is going to be a little worse. But I'm excited, man. It sucks that this is the last game. Like you guys said, it goes by so fast. I swear it's the longest off season in all of sports. And then once it gets here, it's gone. Like I'll blink an eye and I'm like, okay, we're in week 7. And then it's funny, at the beginning of the year, every year, I tell my wife, we're sitting down on that Thursday night game. I'm like, I'm going to enjoy it this year, right? Because it's like I always enjoy it, but you're always just doing so much. Every weekly stuff, game Thursdays, game Sunday, game Monday. It's like next thing you know, it's like you're halfway done. And if you play fantasy football, like season-long stuff, right, it's like, okay, the playoffs start in 4 weeks. It's like all these little milestones catch up, and the next thing you know, it's like, dude, the season's over. And next thing you know, we're in the playoffs. And, like, it just goes by quick, man. But I'm excited for one more game. Last question I have. National anthem. We got any predictions?
I got nothing.
I think it's 1:10 or something, or 110, 114 seconds. 114 seconds.
I don't turn on the game until they're lining up to kick it off.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Or I won't be paying attention to the TV until they kick it off.
But I mean, that's all information based. I mean, people go to the stadium, they time the practice, and then they spit it out, and then the line's dead. So
I got one fun question to end the show with.
Okay.
Give me the player you're going to be drafting a lot in best ball that you think breaks out next year. Go ahead, Jayme. You go first, and then Spread, you'll go second.
I mean,
I got my guy lined up.
Okay, so it's
you start then. Let us think.
Yeah, you start.
Give me Ricky Purcell.
Yeah,
I think he's going to step into Debo's role and nuke on that offense.
Yeah, I like that. So I can't say Christian Watson because he's out for the first 12 weeks. So let me think.
Of course, you're going to say a Packer.
No, I'm not going to say Packer.
I'm going to take Wicks.
No, I'm going to go with the quarterback. I'm going to go Trevor Lawrence. I think Liam Cohen is.
This is me for like the last 4 years,
Me
Jayme.
too, baby. That's me. That's me every year for the last 4 years.
No,
Also, I'm
it's
running the
probably
back.
work this year because I think I'm out. I think I'm done with that trade.
I'm not. You say that now, and then you're gonna be like round 15, going, man, he's still on the
That's
board.
fine. No, I mean round 15 is whatever.
That's
I'm just
round
not,
15.
like,
I know, and I mean, I want to say he's not a guy who's gonna break out. I haven't done any best balls yet, so I don't know where he's getting drafted. But I imagine Brian Thomas is getting like what, a borderline first round pick.
Dude, he's
I
10th or
pulled
something.
up the big board draft.
Really?
He's going 10th.
Yeah. So like that, I think he's just going to blow up. I just think it's a good fit. I mean, with Trevor Lawrence and Liam Cohen as a head coach. So I'm going back on the.
You guys love these OCs. You know they don't always pan out.
No, they don't always do. Definitely not.
I'm
But sometimes they do. Matt
fully
LaFleur,
out
Sean
on
McVay.
Yeah.
I'm fully out on Cohen
Mike
after his interview.
McDaniel and
I like Mike McDaniel. You're right. Exactly. So there's a lot that do. There's a lot that don't. There's a lot that don't. 100%. But there are some that do. Yeah. No doubt. But
what's up? My guy.
So who's your guy?
If I have one.
You had a good one last year. It was Brock Bowers. You're just gonna wait and see who the Raiders.
So he chose a Raider.
No, you know me, I love rookies, but I haven't done my rookie research yet. I was going to say Genty, but there are some concerns about his durability. He might be getting overdrafted right now. So give me Kenneth Walker. Ryan Grubb came in there, and he threw the ball way too much. It's like, bro, look at and we're not going to do the Charbonnet argument again right now, but I'm like, you have two of the best backs in the league. Why are you dropping back 40 times a game? I think they're going to return to their roots, return to that Seattle-style football I know. And Kenneth Walker is going to get a lot of touches.
I like that one. I think that's a real solid one. And that's tough. I'm glad you asked that. I haven't even thought about it yet. I want to start hopping on some big board stuff here soon. And
yeah, if I wasn't so busy, I would start doing those rookie breakdowns. I know that if you on this channel, Steve and Meg have been doing an excellent job, and I'm going to be using a lot of that information. Hopefully, hopefully, Jayme, when we're doing off-season content, I'll be at this new house and I'll have this beautiful background as I'm chilling outside. And
yeah.
But until then, it's been really tough for me. I've just been doing, what we need to do here. So I've been doing the NFL and I have been doing some NBA here and there, but not the daily like I usually do. So I'll be excited to get into that. And I think the next time we have this conversation, I'll be a lot more well-versed on who I'm targeting in these drafts. Because I think what happens is you draft and then, be like the 6th round, you're like, he's still on the board? Yeah. And then you fall in love with the players that way. So,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, all right. Tyler, final thoughts for the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. Root for the Chiefs, but hopefully I just want good football. No blowouts. No blowouts, no bad flags. If injuries happen, they happen, but just no refs dictating the game.
Oh, you're going to get a couple bad flags. Jayme, your final thoughts. I think the bad flags is a shoe-in.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope not, but we'll see. I hope it's a good game too. Like I said, I got that plus 1,100. So if you're not a Chiefs fan, come support and show some love for my plus 1,100.
I think most of the nation is rooting for you.
I think so. It's
gamblers and
it's classic in sports. Anytime a team is so good for so long, if you're not really a fan of that team, most people are kind of over it, right? I just think that's kind of that's a good problem to have if you're a Chiefs fan, right? Like let them hate. That's the case, right? I hope it's a good game. Like I said, I like the Eagles. I like the Eagles plus first half, or Eagles money line first half. So, but I'm excited for it. Enjoy the game, have fun, and have some fun on the sports bets or the prop bets. And tune in on the show this week because it's in my opinion, the Super Bowl is the absolute best time to get down these player props. There's so much unique stuff, most receptions, first drive, first play results, like all that type of stuff that I think is very fun. That could have like some edges, and there's just a lot to go after. So make sure you tune in this Thursday too for the prop show. But I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, I like the cross sports one too, right? Like Saquon Barkley longest rush against Steph Curry total points or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, that's it for us. Jayme, I'm going to reach out to you because we will be doing some off-season content. I'm not sure when though, because I'll be kind of going into a hole for the next 2 weeks. But then after that, I'm going to merge and hit that draft stuff hard. So thank you for coming on all year.
Oh yeah, man.
A ton to the show. I looked at the metrics, like our viewership in Wisconsin is through the roof, thanks to you. So we appreciate that.
That's good.
And yeah, we'll let you finish it, Jayme. Why don't you give us some final thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, just enjoy it, guys. Have fun. It's the last one we got for a few months. So have fun with it.